Like, where does rock sit with you as far as its interaction with hip hop?
Man, actually, rock sits with me. Like, rock is everything, man. You know what I mean? Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, rock and roll had a major influence on me before hip hop. You know what I mean? So back in the days, I'm from the old school. So back in the days, man, rock and roll was getting a lot of coverage, man. Rock and roll was getting radio, MTV, everything. So hip hop came really after that. So rock and roll is big with me. It's not just a gimmick or just a song. I just happen to do that song though. A lot of my stuff is rock influenced though. Like my debut album, Bigger Vibes, right here. We had a lot of rock influence on this project right here. I kind of, if we talking about rock and roll, we talking about the Toven. So you know what I mean? It's rock and roll and hip hop and a lot of other genres too. But really, in that order, it was rock and roll, then it was hip hop, and everything else. So yeah, shout out to groups like Run DMC, man. They broke ground with Aerosmith. Matter of fact, I think Steven Tyler, if I'm not mistaken, somebody might be from Seattle. It's a lot of artists from Seattle, man. You know what I mean? That a lot of people.
Hey, don't do that. You already know, man. Stevie Wonder from here, Jimi Hendrix from here, man. Seattle got a lot.
Oh, you said Stevie Wonder?
Yeah, Stevie Wonder.
Yeah. He's from here?
Yeah.
Hey, Quincy was raised out there. It's a lot of guys.
He came up here.
Yeah. So shout out to Seattle.
One of our listeners has taken the challenge of challenging you on a question, man. KJ Grand wants to know what your favorite rock groups are. Top 5. You gotta give me 5.
Man, hey, that is a good question. Who is that? What's his name? Her name?
KJ
Grand. KJ Grand, man.
What's popping, KG? Yeah, that's a great question, man. That's a tough one too. I can't really say, but if I had to name 5, off the top of my, first of all, I'm going with Van Halen, out of California. I love Van Halen. I'm going with.
I'd say for him.
Yeah, I'm going with Led Zeppelin. This is rock and roll, you know what I'm saying? I'm going with Led Zeppelin. There's a lot of categories in rock and roll, but when you get into the core of it, so we got Led Zeppelin, we got who else did I say? We got so we got Led Zeppelin, we got damn, what was the other group I said, man? I lost my chain of thoughts. The first group out of California.
Van Halen.
I think you're at 2, man. I think you're at 2.
Led Zeppelin, Quiet Riot. You probably never heard of them. You know what I mean? Quiet Riot. He's OG. They was getting a lot of play in the 80s. They was killing it throughout the 80s, shit like that. So
KJ said we got the grunge.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, that's a tough question. Who else? You got
what did he put on that Kirby head?
I think he's on 3 right now.
Hey, you got the Eagles. I don't know if you never heard of them.
I've heard of them for sure. Huh? They be out here. They be at the casino.
They got Eagles.
Or they be performing at the casino out here.
Hey, the Hotel California is going to perform when there's only roaches left in the world. So,
that's real.
That's real. California. That's the Eagles. So that's 3.
Man. 4, I think.
You got 4. You just got
Quiet Riot, Van Halen, and Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
The Eagles.
You got 4,
and man. I might have to go with Aerosmith. For what they did with Run DMC. Walk This Way.
That's real.
Man,
KJ says System of a Down is in his top of all time.
He says, how do you feel about System of a Down?
System of a Down, man.
That's a good band.
What's
that's
one
your
of
hair on Kirby?
What's one of their big records? I'm an OG, so I might not. What's one of their big records? It's a lot of bands, though. You know what I mean? So
the thing is, that's kind of what I thought it was, but I still had to ask you if that's what it was. My guy put his own hair on the Kirby.
Hey, listen.
Corn. Somebody in the comments shout out Corn.
Making wet watermelon.
Corn.
Corn.
And I like asking Alexandria myself personally.
I know that was such a tough question. I got to give it to your viewer on that one because I'm leaving out a bunch of, man, that was a tough question. You got me.
But like you said, though, there's a lot of different kinds of rock, bro. There's so many different kinds of rock.
Listen,
Eugene Salmon Oyster says Motley Crue.
See, here we go.
Okay. You know, big respects, man. You know, rock definitely has a place in hip hop. You know, some of my favorite, rock and hip hop crossovers, you can think about. Obviously, everyone always wants to talk about the Run DMC Aerosmith thing, but I always think about like Onyx in that category, man. They always brought rock to hip hop.
Shout out.
What?
Let the boys be boys.
Shout out.
And mesmerize.
Yeah. Hey, listen, Onyx, man. No, I
was a Beastie Boys dude. Like I was with the Beastie Boys the whole time.
Beastie Boys,
yes. In that category, yeah.
And like that's the thing, like with the Beastie Boys, like drew me into like introducing me into rock when I was listening to the Beastie Boys. I was like, where are they getting those riffs from? Yeah, I mean, and so I'm like looking into the guitar riffs. I'm like, yo, they're not even using they're using like electric guitar, like hard rock guitars, like So it just drew me into the actual like melodic structure to even make guitar riffs like that instead of the way I always hear them in the background noises of regular hip hop records. And it's just it's a rabbit hole, man. It's a great rabbit hole.
Hey man, listen, don't get it twisted. Rock and roll is just as big as hip hop. You know what I'm saying? It's just as important as hip hop.
I agree. I wouldn't take nothing away from that.
Sandman Royster, man, he says I'm old MTV, baby. But on that list, man, we got to include you, man, Toven, with pairing the rock and roll and hip hop. And man, let's talk about this record that we played a couple of weeks ago, rock and roll and hip hop, and he put it all in the title and everything, man. When did you make this point?
When did I record it? I recorded that. I recorded that song just in March. That was really like one of the first records I recorded for the Life and Times of Morel Coleman. I did the rock and roll record that was produced. Man, forgive me if I'm forgetting the producer. I work with a lot of foreign artists, and I love it. So I work with a lot of international producers. On that one, I think that was I want to say Foreign Drip that produced it. I'll get back to y'all. I'll look at it. I did some production work on it too. I heard the music and so I recorded that in March.
That was just this past March?
Yeah, this year, March, a couple of months ago.
So, and that just naturally makes me want to ask you, how was like COVID with all that?
Well, COVID, really during COVID is when I recorded right here, which is which was my first album in 2020, Bigger Vibes.
Nothing slowed you down at all with all the processing and everything in regards to everybody slowing down their processes?
We didn't get it wasn't a lot of shows, fortunately though, shout out to the San Diego Music Awards. They ended up nominating this for Best Hip Hop Album of the Year. So that was
awesome. Wonderful.
Let me give you some props on that.
Big ups for real.
Shout out to them. I appreciate it. So that was the good that came out of the whole thing. It was my first album out the gate, and then we dropped. After that, we dropped. I got this mixtape series, Walk of Fame, which is, I dropped Walk of Fame 1 in 2020 during the pandemic, and then Walk of Fame 2 was just nominated for Best Hip Hop Album of the Year, 2022. So I appreciate that too. Walk of Fame 2. We got a lot of good joints on there. So we at this point we got, probably 5 or 6 different albums out there. A lot of them was recorded during the pandemic, to be honest, within the last 3 years.
Man, okay.
It seemed like everybody got all their content ready, but nobody had any money to actually get these sessions when it came to the pandemic. But I can't wait to hear this and check it out.
Yeah, well, a lot of it, I start off in my studio. I got, we got Pro Tools and everything. So I start off, in the studio, and we take it to higher levels to get a better sound and everything. But I record all of my songs. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you know, yeah. So it's, hey man, it's been a great process, but definitely on Life and Times of Morel Coleman, we're really trying to deliver something big with this project. It's got an international feel to it. Rock and roll and hip hop was just the first single. You know, I just wanted to, you know, get that out the way. That's what influenced me the most. So we, you know, we had to go ahead and drop that. And we shot the video in Borrego Springs, in the middle of the desert, you know.
Wow.
Okay.
Shout out to my young son. He was doing a lot of camera work for me. Yeah, we went out there to the desert, man, and we just shot that video. And you know, it is what it is. We just wanted to get lost in rock and roll and hip hop, so we felt like the desert would be a good place to do that.
Yeah, no, literally when you mentioned it and then the cover art popped up and I'm thinking to myself like, bro, what place to wild out than the dunes, man?
Oh yeah. Oh, hey, speaking of the dunes, that's funny. That's interesting you mentioned that because I did a video to my song "Make It Out." If you ever get time, just
okay. No, I'll definitely check that out. Yeah,
check it out. We shot that in the dunes, in the sand dunes. It looked like we was in fucking looked like we was in Egypt somewhere. You know what I mean? But we was right here in California.
Wow, that's
Hey, y'all might recognize this right here.
Hey, I see that. Look at that.
Oh,
man.
okay.
What? That is old school,
That's
man.
the show.
oh,
Yeah, that's
so retro.
Hey, this boombox is in the video. It's the actual boombox in the video.
Man, that's super dope, man.